eggplant. They're delicious and really versatile. So today on Cooking with Parker, I'm just going to be making a nice traditional eggplant parmesan. I'm going to show you my steps and practices. And would you believe me if I told you that eggplants are not actually a vegetable, but technically a fruit? So there's all sorts of different technicalities and the difference between fruits and vegetables. So I'm using eggplant for my series Fruits A to Z, where I'm cooking a different fruit for every letter in the alphabet. So E for eggplant. Can't wait to show you this simple recipe, and let's go. Starting off, I got 3 medium-sized eggplants. This is probably a little bit more than I need. I'll kind of see as I go along, but just cutting the top and the bottom of each one. And then make sure your board's always clean. I'm gonna cut these into planks. So cut off a side to get a nice flat surface to work with. And then we're just gonna take my nice sharp knife, cut these into kind of long planks for our eggplant parm. Decided to go ahead and pull out my mandoline so I get nice, consistent quarter-inch strips. It's a little bit faster if you know what you're doing. Just be careful, take your time, use a guard. Just keep your fingers away from the sharp blade and you'll be all right. So just go until I feel comfortable, leave kind of the end piece. I'll lay out my eggplant on a wire rack so that they can kind of start to drain off a little bit. Gonna heavily hit them with salt. That's gonna draw out the moisture from the eggplant. Go ahead and grab those end pieces, cut them nice and thin. Didn't feel comfortable using the mandolin for that. And then just hit it with salt one more time. We're gonna let this sit for about 30 minutes. Now time for some of my education. I'm gonna show you 3 ways to do a dice. So the first way you see right here, we're going up and down. This is simply called chopping or kind of push cutting. So the next is kind of slicing. So you're going back and forth with the knife, top to front to heel. This is great for like slicing meats, but you can use it for veggies as well. And we're just gonna go back, do the same motion to kind of cut these into nice little dices. And then once we get that done, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the last, probably the most popular and the safest. Just kind of a nice rocking motion. So you keep the tip down, you go and rock back and forth just so you cut it. And any of these works, just whatever you find yourself most comfortable with. I kind of alternate based on what I'm doing, what knife I have, all sorts of things like that. So my knife skills aren't, the best in the world. They've gotten a lot better in my times in the kitchen. So just kind of showing you that real quick. Using my bench scraper, get these out of my way. I'll probably not using them for the eggplant, probably cook them up for myself a meal later on. Great thing to do while cooking is always kind of be multitasking. So our eggplants are sweating out over there. We're gonna go ahead and work on our breading station. So just putting probably about a cup of flour into a nice deep or wide pan, and just drop a couple eggs and probably about half a cup of buttermilk. This is cooking, not baking, so I'm not being super precise. And then I got some nice panko breadcrumbs. Use about half a can of that. Or just kind of starting our base layer of breadcrumb, our battering station. We're gonna actually have to double this up later on. And then some red chili flakes, just a little bit of kick to that. And some dried Italian seasoning. Nothing super fancy, just nice kind of basic flavors. This though, you wanna get this nice and fresh. Nice fresh Parmigiano Reggiano. Way better than any of that processed stuff. A little expensive, but I promise you it's worth it. So we're just gonna grate that in there, whisk that up, go ahead and whisk all our eggs together. And then we're gonna need like about a cup of Parmesan to top our eggplant Parmesan at the end. So while I got that out, go ahead and shred the rest of this block, or at least most of the block. It's like a 4-ounce block, I believe. So next I got a block of
voluptuous mistress, mozzarella.
1 pound of this. So I actually put this in the freezer so it kind of stiffened up a little bit. Makes it a little bit harder to cut with the knife, but did this for a reason. I'm actually gonna go ahead and bring out my mandolin again. So I wanted it nice and kind of a firmer product rather than the soft cheese. It'll slice a little bit easier on the mandolin. So again, taking my time, just getting nice, super thin strips, about 1/8 of an inch actually. So they'll spread all throughout, get a bunch of layers for my eggplant Parmesan. Go ahead and, stop before I get to the end. Don't wanna cut my fingertips with mandolin. Just use my knife to finish getting these into nice little strips. Go ahead and use my bench scraper to get this cheese out of the way. I don't need it for a little while, so go ahead and throw it in the fridge while I work on the rest of the eggplant parm. While I'm at it, grab myself a little snack. A lot of my chefs get on me for snacking in the kitchen all the time, but why else do you work in the kitchen? Wait about 30 minutes for the eggplants to release some of the moisture. Now we're gonna go ahead and pat these dry with some paper towels. This will help absorb a lot of the flavors and the fat in our product. So you wanna don't skip these steps. I know it might be tempting to, but go ahead and lay these out. Add a lot of paper towels, trying to get all that moisture out. Just go in until it's all covered. Then you're gonna go ahead and press down to release some of that more moisture. Want to get these nice and dried out for yourself. Now we're gonna go ahead and start breading. So just putting a piece of eggplant in the flour, just toss that till it's nicely coated, and then dropping in the egg wash mixture. And then from there, we're gonna put in the breadcrumbs, just toss it until it's all covered with breadcrumbs, kind of press down a little bit. It's really a labor of love at this point, so it's gonna take you a little bit of time to get this all done, but it's worth it. And we're gonna skip the frying step later on, so we're not doing quite the labor of love that eggplant usually involves. But just taking our time, one at a time. Actually, you don't really need you to go one at a time, just kind of showing it to begin with. We're going to kind of what fills the pan. That's why I'm using kind of larger pans instead of bowls in this recipe. So, but you want a bowl so you kind of toss the breadcrumbs to get nice coating on there. As you see, we're kind of doing 4 at a time, just dropping those all in there. Flour, egg wash, breadcrumbs. Go until kind of run through. Realize my eggs are going a little low, so we're going to grab a couple more and some more buttermilk. I don't want to do that like a big batch at one time. That's why I got to do this process, because the eggs start to kind of gloop up a little bit with the flour. Breadcrumbs start to clump up a lot, so that's why I'm kind of doing these 2 batches, as I said. Really, if you're ever battering a lot of something, you want to kind of do this process. You don't want to try to stuff everything into one large bowl. You know, at the restaurant, sometimes we'll have to be making a certain product and constantly refilling as I go. So once I got a full sheet pan, go ahead and set that aside. Keep going. Got my next sheet pan. Just going, and whatever fills my little container. You know, just 2 of these planks right now, and just toss until nice and covered in the breadcrumbs. At the end, I've ended up with 3 nice pans. So again, my egg wash is kind of running low here at the end. Decided not to add any more. Just kind of stir it around until I get nice coverage of the eggs at the end. And I'm gonna grab the remnants of my breadcrumbs, kind of toss that over top, push that on there. So got 5 pieces of eggplant left over at the end. So 2 eggplants might have been enough, probably not quite. So that's why I went ahead with prepping 3 eggplants. I can use those. I'm gonna go ahead and pop these into the oven. Got all 3 of my pans. Got the oven at 400 degrees. Got a nice convection oven, so it'll kind of cook evenly. Got the air spreading around. Realized one of my pans is a little too long to fit that way, so kind of rotate them around a little bit until they fit. Also kind of rotate as they cook due to this. Once they reach a nice golden brown, go ahead and pull these out. About 20 minutes or so for the cook time. Nice and soft in the middle. Go ahead and give it a try. You know, got to taste as I go along. I got Rao's marinara sauce. You can make your own, but Rao's is a really good product. A little pricier than most store-bought varieties, but you know, in general consensus, it ranks #1. So we're just gonna put a nice layer of marinara sauce at the bottom of a 13x9 casserole dish. You're gonna lay our eggplants in there 1 at a time. You want them just kind of touching, fill out the pan. And I'll grab our sliced mozzarella, pull that out of the fridge, lay that till you get nice full coverage of that. Go back with your eggplants. You want to do them the opposite direction this time. Just again, go till you fill up the pan. Hit it with your mozzarella 1 more time. It's part of why I froze it and used the mandoline, so I get lots of cheese, so I can get kind of full coverage. Go ahead and top it off with another layer of marinara sauce. Got a 40-ounce jar here, so it's plenty. And then 1 more layer of eggplant. We're gonna go ahead and get these overlapping a little bit. This will be our top layer, so almost like shingling them. And once that's done, we're gonna go ahead and hit it with just a nice little top layer of the marinara sauce. We're gonna go ahead and use a spoon so I can kind of get it spread out evenly. Wish I could get it to go all the way edge to edge, but I just realized I needed
More marinara sauce.
So I thought the 40 ounces would be plenty. I mean, it was, but could have used a little bit more. Just the marinara is really good, so get a lot of that on there. And we're gonna top it with our Parmesan cheese that we shredded earlier. Again, get full coverage of that. I'm gonna pop this in the oven. Got it at 400 degrees Fahrenheit this time, still on the convection. I'm gonna cook that for about 20-25 minutes until it gets nice golden brown, starts to bubble on the edges. At the end, we're gonna hit it at the broiler, get that going so we get a nice kind of caramelization on top, a couple little dark spots on the cheese and the breadcrumbs. I was tempted to cut into this right away, but you gotta wait 15-20 minutes, kind of let it set, otherwise it's all gonna weep out over you. So give it its time. Go ahead and grab a spoon. You could cut it with a knife or bench scraper or anything like that, but super soft, so the spoon does the job. The skin can be a little tough still. That's one thing to consider, but go ahead and pull this out. The cheese, super melty, kind of holding on there a little bit. Just go ahead and cut that off with my spoon. Get myself a nice serving on my plate. Now, if you use a knife, kind of get clean slices, but Just spoon gets the job done. I'm gonna grate a little bit of fresh Parmesan over the top. Grab some fresh basil. You can layer it into the eggplant parm as well if you want, but I think getting a nice fresh basil on top is really all you need. Just kind of livens things up. It's my personal preference, just kind of tearing it with my hands. Time for my favorite part of the video, the taste test. So good. The eggplant is just nice, right? Real fresh and vibrant. Got that. The Rouse marinara, all that mozzarella, Parmesan. Can't get enough of this eggplant parm. I'm sorry it's not, really a fruit dish, but still fruit, so I'm sticking to my rules. Just take it as you will. And that's all we got for today. If you like this video, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. I'll see you next time.